Mic check one, two.
Yo, get out of here with them weak ass shoes, yo.
Balls deep. I'm talking about balls deep. I'm talking about balls deep in love. I'm talking about balls deep. I'm talking about balls deep. I'm talking about balls deep in love.
What's up, Balls Deep fam, to another episode of Balls Deep with Devin Jovan. It is episode 18 of season 2. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. And, this is Balls Deep, where we dive balls deep into the hottest stories in sports. And we know what's more hot right now than, basketball. Coming off of All-Star Weekend, or what should have been All-Star Weekend, is more like the All-Star Week. Well, not All-Star Day, you can say, because it's just one day.
Weekday.
Yeah, well, it's not weekday because it's the weekend.
Weekend day.
But, so that coming off of, the All-Star break and, returning for the second half of the season, basketball is what's hot right now. And but before we get started, make sure to like, follow, subscribe. And yesterday was International Women's Day, so shout out to all the women in the world, especially women of sports. A lot of them recently have been trailblazing. Doesn't matter the sport, and they've just been trailblazing the industry. And one in particular that we have yet to mention is Renee Montgomery, former player of UConn, and she recently retired and last played for the Atlanta Dream. The reason why I mention her is because she was big into the Black Lives Matter movement and the politics and things like that when players were opting out for seasons and things like that. So she recently retired from playing with the Atlanta Dream, and if you don't follow the WNBA, that team was up for sale because of their owner, Loeffler. I forget her first name. I think it's Kelly Loeffler. She dipped her toe into politics, and it blew up because when the Black Lives Matter movement blew up this past summer, where these players in the bubble wanted to, plaster Black Lives Matter on the court and stuff like that, their owner, Kelly Loeffler, basically voted against it. She didn't want anything to do with it, and basically they bullied her to put the team up for sale. And when they put up the team for sale, who stepped right in? A group that included Renee Montgomery. Renee Montgomery, and the group purchased the team. So she recently retired, and not even a year later, she purchased the team. So now she's part owner of the Atlanta Dream, and I think she's not the first player. I think she's the second player to ever, have ownership of a team. I'm talking about WNBA player, but she's the first to be part owner and executive for a franchise.
Shout out to her and, really all the other women, like you said, who have been trailblazing. I mean, we've seen basically a record number because it's more than we've ever seen any other year of, new managers, new, assistant coaches, new refs, new ownership now, like you say. So, I mean, it's been a huge year. In terms of, women in sports, and for women in general. I mean, we've seen a lot of trailblazing women in general. You're speaking on politics. One that comes to mind immediately is Stacey Abrams. So, so shout out, all the women out there, obviously doing their thing. So.
And then to shift over, we got a little preview of what's to come in the entertainment industry, and it has to do with sports. So if you're not you're not aware of the Space Jam franchise and how highly touted it is in the sports industry in terms of the movies, they're coming out with a Space Jam 2 that is starring none other than LeBron James. So we got our first preview of the movie. I don't know if you've seen it.
But I didn't see it. However, I did see that they made a few tweaks on like the likenesses and the images of certain characters for the movie, which I thought was kind of weird.
So
changing up the art.
Yeah, so
a little bit.
I just want to begin and say that graphically, it looks amazing. And so you can see it's night and day from the what the Looney Tune characters look like in the first one to the second one. They're more 3D now, which is dope.
Yeah,
They already kind of flashed the jerseys before, but it's called Space
seen
Jam.
those.
I think New Legacy or something like that. So all that's dope. Now it's just gonna come down to the storyline, and they mentioned the storyline. Uh, so hopefully it's not corny, but uh,
I'm trying to see Jordan on the Monstars
well
playing
that
playing against LeBron
they already
for
announced
GOAT.
who's gonna be the Monstars. So I don't think they're called the Monstars this time around,
Yeah,
but they already said it. Anthony Davis is gonna be one. Uh, Clay Thompson is gonna be another. Um, I,
future Laker.
I forget who else, but I know that they're using some WNBA players as well. They're incorporating, the presence of women. We already just talked about how women are trailblazing. So this should be interesting. This should be fun. I just hope the storyline lives up to what it looks like because it really does look good. So I'm looking forward to it. I mean, we did just have a sequel that just recently came out. It has nothing to do with sports, but Coming to America. That was 30 years later. We finally got a part two. So this is.
I've heard a lot of good things about it.
I've watched it. So I didn't like the fact that it wasn't that it was PG and not rated R, because that's what Coming to America 1 was so great about. Like what was so great about it? It was rated R. So
Yeah,
the jokes you weren't holding back on the jokes. So this one is still
There's
this
Eddie
one's still
Murphy.
funny. Don't get me wrong, even although it's PG-13, but it's not the first one. So,
Yeah.
but it definitely has a lot of people in it, and I definitely was laughing throughout the movie. So shout out to that; they did a good job. But I only referenced that because Space Jam, the first one, came out years ago, like before I was even born, or before we were even born at that. So,
Yeah.
so now for me to be, I forget how old I am. I'll be 24. I'll be 24. So to come out, at least 24 years later,
Yeah.
20 plus years later, I should say, it should be interesting to see how that pans out and how the young kids come out and envision their LeBron James, which is not LeBron's, their Michael Jordan, I should say, LeBron James. So that's that. But now we're gonna shift over to
Yeah.
the All Star Day, you can say.
I'll start. Yeah, I'll start weekend day.
So the 2021 All Star Weekend. It was just one day. It popped off with the skills challenge and 3-point contest prior to the All Star game, and then the All Star game happened. And during halftime, they did the dunk contest, and then they did the second half of the game, and that was it. And that was happened on Sunday. Before we dive into each contest, what did you think of the idea of having all this in one day?
Well, it's not the worst idea. I think the timing of it is really what sucks.
Yeah.
Because clearly they had the quick. I mean, we've discussed this time and time again. The quick turnaround, the quick season. So like we already know that how players felt about that. They were tired. They felt like they needed a longer break. They didn't get it. They thought they were gonna get a break during All-Star break. They thought there was gonna be no All-Star game. NBA decided, no, we need some money. We're gonna have an All-Star game. And they went with that. And to add on top of that, they put everything in one day. I don't hate the idea of it. I mean, because sometimes I do hate waiting till I have to watch the dunk contest or the All-Star game or sometimes I just want to,
Yeah.
I want to see them all, but I think the timing of it really was what made it difficult, you know what I mean? Or not made it difficult, but is the only thing I really, if I had complaints, would be my complaint about it is that, clearly the players were hoping for a break. Clearly they were tired. And obviously it just seems like the NBA went tone deaf and was like, all right, you're tired. Let's just do it all on the same day then.
So I agree. I don't think there should have been All-Star Weekend. I think this time or this break should have been time to rest and spend with their family. But since there was an All-Star Weekend, I actually enjoy being in all in one day more than in the span of 3 days. Because usually they break up the celebrity game and then the competitions, and then the third day, which is Sunday, is the All-Star game. I'm not a fan of that. I mean, if you want to split into two and then have the celebrity game on a Saturday and then Sunday have everything, that's fine. I just like it in one day. It was just, I got to sit in front of my TV and just sit there and watch everything back to back to back.
You don't have to make a weekend of the entire thing,
Yeah.
especially, people don't always have the time to just sit there for an entire weekend. Obviously, it's only certain parts of the day, but, people, I definitely, I agree. I mean, like I said, I've always felt like, I'd rather just get this over with. I want to see everything happen. I want to see everything right now. Like I said, the only issue I had with it was it's just the wrong season for it. You know what I mean? That was really it.
But they went out of their way, being in the HBCU capital of the world, Atlanta. They donated to the HBCUs. So I felt like that was a dope concept, and I feel like they should continue that moving forward in donating to like HBCUs, like other causes. Just donating to these causes are dope. So I think the causes should be determined based off of where it's being hosted. So I think next year is Cleveland. So I think the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is over there. So could do something in regards to that. I don't know. So I like that concept. I liked it being in one day. But getting into these competitions, the skills challenge, Domantas Sabonis won the skills challenge. And and he won it handedly. He beat Luka Doncic in the finale, which no one seemed coming. But to get there, he beat, I believe, Julius Randle and I want to say Chris Paul. Could be wrong, but he won. No one seen it coming, but he wasn't missing. He's knocked down.
I mean, I'm just more surprised that the point guard Chris Paul that he can't win a skills challenge. I feel like he should be taking these handedly from a lot of these guys. I'm like surprised that I don't think he's won any of them. I'm not sure that I've even seen him in that many, but
I mean, the hardest part of it is the pass through the tire.
He's one of the best passers we've ever seen in the NBA history.
I'm not making excuses for him. I'm just saying
no excuses. He needs to win one of these.
I'm just saying that's the key to that challenge is getting that pass through the tire, because that's usually what people take the longest on, and if you can get past it, it's usually smooth sailing from there.
Definitely, I agree.
But no one's seen that coming, so I think since they've allowed big men into these skill challenges, we've seen a few of them win recently. I think Sabonis won. If I'm not mistaken, I believe
I believe it was Jokic.
Yep, Jokic won.
Jokic won one.
And Karl Anthony Towns, could be wrong, but they big men been taking over this competition. So these guards, these guards need to step up. This is it's supposed to be for them.
Oh, def. But it's not a surprise, though. I mean, I feel like we've been seeing that with a lot more big men. Obviously,
sure.
We got the pioneer of it. Magic Johnson was like the first guy to really do it. And then we got a guy like LeBron James. But, I mean, since then, I feel like a lot of big men are starting to become a lot more versatile, a lot more skilled in terms of, it's kind of what people clown on Giannis about is he's tall, he dunks. I mean, I feel like it's not big men anymore. You know what I mean? I feel like a lot of them are adding, a lot to their game, and not even just skill-wise, but, court vision and IQ level. I mean, Jokic is probably one of the smartest players in the game, and he's a center. He's probably arguably the best passer in the game, other than a few guys, maybe LeBron James and Chris Paul, but he's up there, and he's a big man, so.
Yeah. I mean, he's one of the best passing big men that I've seen, so.
Oh, definitely.
And then to move on from competition to competition, 3-point contest. That was the finale prior to the All-Star game. And when I say it was a banger, it was a banger. This dude, Steph Curry, won it. No surprise, greatest shooter that we've ever seen. So he'll definitely go down as the greatest shooter ever by the end of his career. But he won the competition, and
He's already there.
he dedicated the win to the Splash Bros because Klay Thompson couldn't be there, and usually he participates in that competition. It was dope. Like Mike Conley put up a dogfight, but it just wasn't enough for Steph Curry.
Yeah.
Because Steph Curry I think he needed 20. So Mike Conley had 27, and Curry came back and scored 28 to win it in the second round. But in the first round, he had 31. 31. So he was just killing it. And that just set fire because it just prepared him for the All-Star game. And we can get into that when we talk about the All-Star game.
Yeah.
But that guy, he was hitting it from everywhere. And when I mean everywhere, I mean
Steph?
Everywhere. Yes.
Steph? Definitely. Yeah, so the 3-point contest is actually the only one that I didn't see. However, I'm not I obviously seeing afterwards that Steph won, and that he actually, there were rumors going around that he pulled the Larry Bird saying, which one of you guys is going to come in second? I don't know if you saw that.
I didn't see that. So that's actually funny.
They asked him and says, hey, Steph, we heard that you pulled the Larry Bird. And he's like, sometimes you just go in there and you don't even have to say nothing. It just so he denied that claim, but I'm not surprised at all. Greatest shooter ever. But I am surprised, however, it was Mike Conley who was there putting up a fight. Although he's not the worst 3-point shooter, obviously he's a great 3-point shooter. He wouldn't have been there, but I mean, he's not the name that I'd have picked to be going up against Steph Curry and giving him a run for his money. That's for sure. So
definitely. So to shift over, well, first off, I want to say 3-point contest out of all 3 competitions was the best competition out of all 3 of them. And I continuously say that the 3-point contest needs to be the finale of these competitions, especially in recent years, because the dunk contest has been an epic failure, and we haven't really had a good one since, the Aaron Gordon Levine, and we know how that ended. Someone got snubbed. So, and then we had the Aaron Gordon Part 2, which was dope, but he got snubbed again. So it's just not what it used to be, especially with no stars being a part of it. And I think the stardom could have started this year. Like, if you're going to do it all in one day, and with everything in regards to COVID is happening, I think everyone that was a part of these challenges, like, if you didn't have to be there for the All-Star game, you shouldn't have been there. And I think all these people that participated in these competitions should have been people that were on the rosters for the All-Star game. Like, it would have been perfectly fine. Pick 3 people on the All-Star teams to participate in it. Boom.
Zion.
You had Zion, you had Giannis, you had LeBron. Like, you had Zach LaVine was there. He could have been dunking. Like, you had so many options to do that. And then 3-point contest, you had a bunch of 3-point shooters. You could have participated in that. The skills challenge, like, this was the opportunity to, like, we both said there should have been an All-Star weekend. But being that there was, you could limit how many people are there. Like, these people that didn't have to be there shouldn't have showed up. But in regards to the dunk contest, they had Cassius Stanley from the Pacers, Anthony Simmons from the Trailblazers, and they had Obi Toppin from the Knicks. No one really knows about them unless you're a hardcore basketball fan. Like, if you're a casual, you're not gonna know who they are. Like, I know who all 3 of them are, but not. But yeah, they're young, up and coming.
2 of them are rookies, and one of them's second-year guy.
But
so
I'll say this. It was bad. And it all started in the beginning. And the reason why I say that is Cassius Stanley was the first to go up, and I really liked his dunk. Dunk was very impressive, and they gave him a 44. And I'm like, okay, it's not bad. I mean, I think it should have deserved higher than a 44. However, I don't think it was a 50, and I think people were very hesitant in giving out 10s and 50s because of what happened last year with, Dwayne Wade.
Correct.
So I understand it. And I like what they did with the second round, where instead of giving numbers, they got to pick between the 2 finalists. So I like that rule.
I did like that.
But where I'm getting at with the first round. Out of the first round dunks, I think Cassius Stanley had the best dunk, but he had the lowest score. And when you set that standard, now when the other two guys dunk, and you give Obi Toppin I think a 47, and Stanley sitting there like, hey, my dunk was better. And Kenny Smith mentioned that Toppin's dunk was dope and impressive. However, Zach LaVine just did that dunk in the free throw line, like last week. So it's like we've seen that before. Whereas Stanley's was more impressive.
But I feel like, but see, that's the issue I have with the dunk contest. I feel like you could literally say, we've seen that before about any dunk at this point, and that's what makes it so hard to judge these competitions or even want to watch them or feel excited about them. Is most of the stuff we've seen, I mean, we just keep seeing the same stuff from different people of different sizes, and they might make it look different the way they contort their body or what have you, but they're all the same dunks at this point. I mean, the most exciting we've gotten is Aaron Gordon and Zach LaVine, and they're different breeds. I mean, those guys are complete fucking studs of athletes. I mean, they could jump out the gym, so it makes sense. But honestly, I mean, to speak a little bit on what you were saying, I do disagree a little bit. I did think Obi Toppin had the best dunk of the first round. He had the second highest score. I liked his dunk personally better than I liked the first one. The first one was a good dunk.
I'm not trying to take anything away from Obi Toppin. I liked his dunk. But I'm just saying, personally, I thought Stanley's dunk was more impressive, especially being that we literally just seen Zach LaVine do what Obi Toppin did. But
I get you.
I don't think Stanley should have won, though.
I feel like we have.
I think because his second dunk failed him. I think if he did his original dunk for his second dunk, he would have made it to the next round if he, got knocked down. But his second dunk was the one that he finished, wasn't good enough to push him forward. But I think that kind of messed with his confidence, and I think that just set the precedent for what came next. And that's exactly why I think it was a failure.
I agree. I mean, it wasn't the greatest contest. I completely agree. I don't think the dunks were horrible. However, there wasn't really anything spectacular that stood out to me. What really bothered me is I feel like the final bothered me more than anything, the last round. Because I honestly, like I said, I don't think the dunk contest was that bad this year. I didn't think it was that bad, especially I was taking into consideration all three very young guys. None of them been in the league more than 2 years. Give us some nice dunks in that contest. However, I feel like they both, these are the finalists, that's Toppin and Simons. I feel like they both went for very, very safe dunks for the final round. And I feel like that bothered me a bit because I feel like they were both trying to secure an easy, safe number to try to get the win rather than try to do something crazy that we haven't seen and just like, I'm going to go out there and win this. And that I didn't like because I wanted to see one of them go out there and make this contest theirs. And I honestly feel like even as kind of like not good the dunk contest was, I feel like if we had a solid final round where they made it competitive, that could have turned that dunk contest from an okay dunk contest to a good dunk contest. And that's what bothered me the most. I feel like both finalists went for very safe dunks for the last one. And I was like, no, I don't know that I want either of you to win this. You know what I mean? So that was the only thing that bothered me. Really.
I totally see what you're saying because I feel like a lot of these guys, I think the entire dunk contest was very conservative. They didn't really do anything flashy, like you said. So it was very conservative in comparison to past years. I think Stanley had, in terms of who was the most aggressive with their ideas, I think it was Stanley. However, he only was able to execute one of those dunks. The second one he was unable to execute, and it didn't count as a dunk attempt, but he quickly shifted his thought process and like what he wanted to do for the dunk. Because I think he tried to do it twice, but he couldn't grasp the ball in the air.
Yeah.
So then
he went for simple
Yeah,
Easy dunk,
I think
exactly.
this dunk contest was very simple. I think the right guy, Anthony Simons, won the
Yeah,
competition, but that doesn't say much. And
it doesn't.
I think either you bring stars into this competition, or you just shift it and don't allow it to be the finale. I think with it being the finale, it sets a certain expectation, especially for years past. And when it doesn't live up to that expectation, people are bummed. Whereas the 3
Yeah,
point contest, it's always been a thriller, especially in recent years when we're a shooters league now, and we have all these star power or all the star power in the world in this competition. Like Steph Curry, the greatest shooter ever, literally participates in this competition pretty much every year, if not almost every year. So if we could do something similar to that with the dunk contest, I don't see how it wouldn't live up to people's expectations.
no, I agree, and that's what I say. I mean, it's either that or just get rid of the dunk contest because
I wouldn't
otherwise,
get rid of it.
I wouldn't either, and that's the thing. I feel like if you don't start getting stars in it, there's really no point other than to get rid of it because, like I said, at that point, we've seen everything.
Yeah.
And I don't see anybody that's not a superstar athlete that's going to go out there and show me something that I've never seen before. Because the people who were showing me things I've never seen before were the superstar athletes like Vince Carter and Kobe Bryant
For sure.
and the likes of those guys. So I completely agree. It's important that those guys start participating.
Yeah.
However, I do understand why maybe they didn't this year.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, and I forget what exactly I was watching, so I forgive whoever uh, mentioned it or pitched this idea. But I think it's a really good idea. And the idea was that you get these street dunkers, get 3 street dunkers. We already know what they're capable of, and allow them to participate in the dunk contest, and then pick 3 NBA players to go up against them. And
I
he
would like
said
it.
he said that would, one, boost creativity, and two, it'll get the stars out there because now it's kind of like stroking their ego in a bit. It's like they have a reputation to live up to, so they're not gonna want to get beat out by a street dunker.
Definitely.
All those street dunkers do this for a living. I think that was a dope idea because now the dunk contest to get even more interesting because we already know street dunkers with their creativity and the things they're capable of is out of this. You could say out of the gym. It's just what Michael Jordan said: the roof is the ceiling. The roof is the ceiling. So I think that allow these players to come out and not only be creative, but it's going to be star players that come out and have something to prove. And I think that's exactly that's the spark that this dunk contest needs because in recent years it just hasn't really been there outside of those 2 years that Aaron Gordon participated.
I agree.
But speaking of the dunk contest, we have a former dunk contest champion. What?
I don't know. I'm just seeing where you're going with this.
I was so a former dunk contest champion, Blake Griffin. He's changing teams.
Wait, we talking about the All Star game? Because
Oh
I have
yeah, yeah,
something
yeah,
to
yeah. The
say
All Star
about the
game.
All Star game.
I forgot about the All Star game.
That
Dang.
shit show.
Oh, that shit show. But we put on a poll on our story, Instagram story. Who did you like? What teams did you like after the draft that they did? Team LeBron or Team Durant? Last I recall, a lot of you guys voted for Team LeBron, as you should have. I think it would have been better with the full roster, but after that, Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid got replaced because of COVID tracing, which again goes to show why this shouldn't have happened. But anyways, they were replaced and unable to play. Um, and when I say replaced, they were replaced in like the starting lineup and things like that.
Yeah.
But this was a blowout. It wasn't even close. And but I enjoyed watching it because there's certain stars that were balling out. And when I say that, I just enjoyed watching like Dame play with Steph and Steph play with LeBron. I enjoyed it because Dame and Steph were basically having shooting contests on the same team. They were shooting from half court and they both hit half court 3 point shots. And I
Yeah.
thought that was dope. Giannis won the second Kobe Bryant MVP award as he should have because
Mm.
the guy went a perfect 16 for 16 and he wasn't just dunking the ball. He was hitting threes. So if you listen to the audio, because he was mic'd up, he had me laughing because he goes, uh, "Pass me the ball. They leaving me open. They leave me open." So, and he was just cracking jokes and stuff like that. So I swear Giannis is probably one of the funniest athletes in the NBA right now.
He's funny.
He's hilarious.
So I ain't gonna lie to you. I stopped watching after Team LeBron took that third quarter, because at that point it was 3 quarters to none. I was like, I'm pretty sure this is over. I don't
Yeah.
see how they win this. It wasn't all bad, but I definitely didn't enjoy it as much as I'd hoped. I
Yeah.
didn't expect them to, do anything spectacular. I know a lot of them didn't want to be there. A lot of them didn't want to play that game. So I wasn't expecting them to all of a sudden start playing some defense in the All-Star game. But it was a little frustrating as a fan to see, like, at one point in the game, like, I don't even know. Steph Curry hit a 3-point shot. I'm pretty sure it was the exact shot where he shot it, turned around, looked away,
Oh,
and
he
then
pulled to
sunk.
LeBron, and then he pointed
Yeah,
at LeBron. And he was like,
sunk it. After he made that shot, I'm pretty sure it was that shot. Collectively, every single best player in the NBA went like 0 for 35 in a row. And I was like, what the fuck is this? They were just like chucking up shots. And I was like, I don't want to watch this. Like, what is this? It did get better though. Like, obviously they started pulling better shots and making them, but
yeah.
that part of it, at least that little span of a couple minutes, really bothered me, because I'm like, I get it, it's an All-Star game, but everybody's literally just throwing up a shot at this point, and it's kind of frustrating because it looks like I'm watching a bunch of fucking assholes in the fucking Y gym who don't know how to play basketball. I'm like, what is this? I don't want to watch this. But it was fun to watch. Otherwise, I mean, Steph, like you said, Steph Curry and Dame splashing threes. Fucking the best moment of the game for me was when Giannis. They were talking about how Giannis was perfect. I think at the time he's like 14 for 14, and he had like 2 threes at the time. And he gets the ball at the three, and they're like, no, 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 and he shoots it and makes it.
Because they thought he was gonna break
It
it.
was so funny because the commentary was like yelling at him not to shoot it, and he just shoots it
Because
and
he
fucking
was
hits it off
perfect.
and
He was
hits it off
perfect.
the
He
glass.
didn't want him to finish it.
Yeah, and
But the
I
thing
didn't
is,
need.
the threes that he was hitting, they said he got lucky and made them because he was banking them. But he was
Oh,
making
duh,
them.
he was banking them,
And
but
then post game, he said that he was like he holding the trophy and he goes, Milwaukee, this is for you. And then he basically told the media people that that they needed to talk to his people back home so that they can allow him to shoot some more because clearly he can shoot. So
nah, I mean he looked good that night from three, so I wasn't complaining. But it was definitely fun to watch. I can't shit on the game completely, but
yeah,
that, like I said, that span of a couple minutes was definitely one of the more frustrating parts of the game, because I just felt like, I get it, they were out there to have fun, they were out there to give a fans a show, but I really didn't want to see the best players in the NBA go 0 for 35 for a consecutive 2 minutes. You know what I mean? So
I mean I agree with you totally. I mean as a collective the game was awful. It was a blowout. Whereas
yeah.
last year when they did the whole Kobe rule, it was a really good game and it was to the wire. Like that's the kind of game that we're expecting when we see an All Star game because they were playing more defense and everything like that. Giannis even said it. He goes, "Come on, guys. I know it's an All Star game, but play defense." Like he was saying how he was tired because he was continuously jumping. He goes, "I shouldn't have to jump every play," but
No,
uh, I think that was with setting that bar last year coming into this year, it was pretty bad. But again, to be kind of reasonable, there were a lot of people that were voted into the All Star game that didn't get to play, whether it was COVID or injury. So I understand where that was coming from. But you're also in the NBA. You're still one of if you're replacing anyone, you're still one of the NBA's best. So I'm expecting
yeah.
more of like a closer game. I don't know what Kevin Durant was doing when he was voting his team or drafting his team because Team LeBron was just straight up stacked. He made sure to announce that he's 4-0 in the All Star game since they've allowed these drafts. Um, Should he make it 5-0 next year? Because we already know he's going to be a captain. So that should not come to no surprise. But I just that's why I took out those bright spots in terms of certain moments. Like I enjoyed watching Giannis, Dame, Steph all play together, especially with LeBron, because typically you won't see that, and I thought that was dope. So like
Yeah.
when Steph did that turnaround 3-pointer, and then he pointed at LeBron going down the court, like I did a U, and they kind of dapped up each other, and then Dame pulled a half court shot and made it. Steph was like, "Oh, you're not doing that," and then he pulled up from half court, and I think it had to do with that. I think Kenny Smith he tweeted in the past that Dame has more range than Curry, and Curry tweeted back to him like, "Come on, you know that's not true." So I think when Dame made it, he was like, "All right, I gotta shoot it too," and he shot it and he made it, and everyone just went sick. So it was dope to see, and
Yeah.
I think moments like that is why the All Star Weekend is so enjoyed by the players because it's a good time and you get to relax a bit. But in this case, it shouldn't have happened.
No, I agree.
But getting to where I was going to before, I messed up.
When you were trying to jump ahead.
Yeah, I was trying to jump ahead. Former dunk contest champion and former All Star Blake Griffin is moving teams. So the Pistons agreed to buy out his contract finally after forcing him to basically sit out until they find a way to get rid of him. And they agreed to that, and he agreed to a new deal with a new team, and that team is the Brooklyn Nets. He just decided to go to the Brooklyn Nets. No surprise, because he has ties with DeAndre Jordan, who he enjoyed playing with with the Clippers. Also, they were looking to add depth to that team. And people are talking about, oh, they have a big four. They have a big four. It's not a big four. It's still a big three. Blake Griffin is not who he used to be. He's still a big name. He's still a good player, but he's not who he used to be. And the Nets went out and said that they envision him as a small ball 5 off the bench. They're looking for someone to bring points off the bench, someone to be able to create their own shot and things like that. So I can see that in terms of his role and him being able to execute it to the best of his ability. But the guy hasn't dunked the ball since 2019. Like, he came into the league as a freakish athlete who constantly dunked the ball, and people question, like, is that all he can do? And now he's developed a jump shot and got injured a few times, and now he hasn't dunked the ball in 2 years. So is he going to get his athleticism back? Probably not. But I think he'll be a good addition to the Brooklyn Nets team. However, they still lack defense, and he doesn't bring defense. He'll bring scoring, but he won't bring defense. So I think off the bench role will, he'll thrive in that.
Yeah. No, I mean, I like the move. The Nets needed depth. I mean, there's really not many players on their team other than the obvious that are better than a Blake Griffin. So they did get better. They did add to their depth. I don't know. It kind of sucked. I did want to see him in a Lakers jersey. I'm not gonna lie.
I think he didn't want to be in a Lakers uniform.
Def. And I understand, but the Lakers are looking for some help at big man. Buyout coming. I was hoping we could get him. It sucked to see him to go to a team that people are kind of already chirping, saying that they're going to beat us. So obviously, at the addition of Blake Griffin is only going to, make those people fucking rejoice and be louder. But
it is what it is.
It is what it is. It's a great move for them. Like I said, they needed depth. They secured what they needed. I mean, it's a huge move.
I mean, it's not all they need.
I don't know that it's gonna. Yeah, I don't know that it's gonna help them win a championship. Still, obviously there are still questions like you mentioned. Blake Griffin's health. He's not all that healthy all the time. That's an issue. That's a big reason why he hasn't been the Blake Griffin that we're used to seeing. Like you said, is because his health. So.
And you could say the same about a few of the other players. Kyrie, Kevin Durant,
yeah.
But I think you could say that about many teams. I think it's a good move. They not only needed depth, but they needed defense, and that's what they still lack is defense. He doesn't bring defense. He doesn't supply that. But in terms of scoring, I think he'll do just that. Like he'll be fine in Brooklyn. I'm not questioning that. And although you said you wanted him in LA, I didn't really want him in LA for the simple fact that there's rumors of one individual that we mentioned in the past. He's also from Connecticut.
Andre
He's from
Drummond,
Connecticut, who's might possibly be coming to LA. I told Isaiah
which I would love
I
that.
would love that too. I told Isaiah I'm not getting my hopes up because he was getting all excited, and he was like, "Well, I'll be double excited for you, for you." And I basically just said I don't want to get my hopes up because until it happens. Once it happens, I would be excited. But I think that'll be a really good move because the Lakers do need size. They do need defense because Marc Gasol, although I like him, he's not a starting five for the Lakers. He moves very robotic and very slow. Like he's a very good
Very
passer,
slow.
but he's not doing what the Lakers need at the moment. So if anything, he supplies some depth. And I don't know how it would work with AD and Drummond, but defensively, that's scary. Like
I know exactly how
that is scary. And AD stretches the floor and everything, so I'm not too worried
Yeah.
about it because they'll make it work. But
And AD will play the four.
oh, for sure. I mean,
He prefers playing the
yeah.
four.
So
So it's
that'll
better
be
for
scary.
us.
So Isaiah and other Lakers fans out there, don't get your hopes up. We remember we're still Dan Gilbert is still involved in this situation. He's the one who voted or vetoed. Basically, well, he's the one who started the veto for the Chris Paul trade, and he's the one who told Baron Davis that because they were going to buy out his contract when he played for Cleveland. He basically said he wasn't going to buy his contract out if he went and played with LeBron in Miami. So if he knows that he's gonna go play with LeBron in LA, he might not buy out his contract. So I hope Drummond fools him and says I'm gonna go sign elsewhere, and then he's like, haha, fuck you, Dan Gilbert, and signs with the Lakers. Because as a Laker fan, I love that. But Dan Gilbert's still involved, so I'm not getting my hopes up until it's all said and done. So we'll see.
I agree.
But they're even talking about the Nets possibly getting a Drummond. I don't know how. How are they even fucking getting all this cap space to fucking build the Monstars over there in Brooklyn?
Monster.
The Brooklyn
All this
Monstars.
just to, like they said, all this just to be the kid from Akron.
No, when they signed Blake Griffin, someone said, "Sheesh, how much help does Joe Harris need?" So, because they had a picture of fucking James Harden, Blake Griffin, Kyrie Irving, Kevin Durant. Bro, when they said that, I was laughing because Joe Harris is an underrated player. So, how much help does he need? But
Oh man.
last topic of the day, last topic of the episode, trade deadline. Trade deadline is within the next 2 weeks, I believe. So tomorrow begins the second half of the season, the NBA season, and in 2 weeks from Thursday is the NBA All-Star, or not NBA All-Star, NBA trade deadline. So March 25th is the NBA trade deadline, which is coming up. What move or moves would you like to see before the trade deadline?
If you'd asked me this before the Wizards started turning around, I would have told you I want to see Bradley Beal in a Lakers jersey.
I still would like to see that, but that ain't happening.
I know there was talks about the Warriors acquiring I forget
Oladipo?
who. Yes, there was talks about them acquiring Oladipo recently, and that's something that I would
nice.
love to see. Obviously, we've seen Victor Oladipo in many jerseys at this point, but he's a player that I've always liked, and I feel like we've not really seen. It's so weird because I feel like we've not really seen his ceiling yet. I feel like he's not found a home. I feel like if he's able to play around guys like a Steph Curry, like a Klay Thompson when he's around on-court coach, what we've seen fucking Draymond do with James Wiseman this season is phenomenal. I think that's a great environment for a guy like Oladipo, especially not having to come in and like be the guy, be a top scorer, but also, I mean, he's surrounded by shooters, so he'd literally go in there and just be comfortable and just do what he needs to do, play his game of basketball, knowing that, I mean, really, he's got a supporting cast to just go in there and, like I said, just play basketball. I just want to see Oladipo in a spot where he seems comfortable because I feel like I've yet to see that. and I feel like teams just kind of keep shifting him around. I think he's a really talented athlete, but I think he's a really talented ball player as well. I
I
just
mean,
don't think
just look
that
how
he's
just look how he thrived in OKC next to
uh,
Russell Westbrook, and you
uh,
put him next to another star like Steph Curry, who's more willing to give up the ball. I mean,
yes.
I think he'll have a bigger role in Golden State than he did in OKC, but I think he'll thrive, especially with Clay being out.
Tough. And I just feel like I said, I just feel like he has so much potential we've yet to see tapped. And I
Untapped
just
potential.
feel untapped potential. And I just feel like, uh, with the right environment, like a Warriors team, we might see a completely different player in Victor Oladipo, and that's something that I've been waiting for years.
Yeah, I definitely would like to see that, especially Bradley Beal being rumored to go to Golden State in the past. Even though I think they should have pulled the trigger before they drafted James Wiseman, because now that they got James Wiseman, I don't think that's going to happen. Just because I think they actually enjoy him a lot more than uh, people seem to think. But I think that would be a good move for Oladipo to go to Golden State. One move that I'd like to see, although we both don't like this team, I think it would be a good move. I think the Celtics need to go out and grab Nikola Vucevic from the Magic. They need a big man, and the Magic need to get rid of a big man. So for the Magic's purposes, why not get rid of Vucevic? You're losing as it is. Offload his contract, but you're also opening up PT for someone like a Mo Bamba, who you drafted in the top 10 and seem to have forgot about. But for the Celtics, they need a big man. They missed out on Miles Turner. They could possibly try to get Andre Drummond, but it's highly doubtful. Um, so why not go out and get a Nikola Vucevic? He doesn't go to Boston, I would like for him to go to Charlotte. I think that move. I think I would enjoy him more in Charlotte than Boston because I actually like Charlotte. I don't like
Yeah,
Boston, but
I
I
don't
think
like Boston either. I don't want to see that
I
happen.
think just him getting traded in general, I think is needs to happen, and that's
Oh,
what I want to see.
definitely. I feel like it's at this point it's best for the Magic. It's best for Vooch at this point. Seems like the Magic have no direction at this point. They did obviously with their star players going down. They definitely took a hit, but I feel like at this point they need to start investing some time, like you said, in the young guys that they drafted, like Mo Bamba. Um, I know they probably thought they were, coming close to the end of possibly a rebuild with acquiring maybe a couple more players, but it almost seems like they're gonna have to restart again. Um, because it seems every time they do offload a draft pick or a young guy or a guy who's kind of just at the peak of what he's capable of doing, they trade him away and then he fucking flourishes where they send him. So we'll see
Outside of Dwight Howard,
outside of Dwight Howard.
but that was because Dwight Howard dealt with injuries, and then from the injuries, it dealt with other stuff.
As
But
wild as I was the only person that didn't want Dwight Howard. People thought I was crazy.
I mean, I think regardless, the Lakers were screwed
I agree.
with that because Bynum, what happened to Bynum after they got rid of him, and he had injury history. So why not take a chance with the guy who had star power and he brought more potential in a
It made
sense?
sense. I just didn't
But
like it at the time.
I
I
think the
didn't know
plan
why.
I think the plan fell apart when the Lakers didn't get Chris Paul because should they have got Chris Paul, I think he would have been able to mend like Kobe and Dwight, like because Dwight he was still young. He didn't have a he wasn't as mature as he is now. Kobe, he had that championship mindset. He was a competitor, whereas Dwight wanted to have fun. I think Chris Paul is more of a hybrid of that, and he would have been able to get Dwight to understand where Kobe was coming from and vice versa and
Yeah,
things like that.
and I
So
mean,
he would have mended it. Whereas when we didn't get Chris Paul, they went out and got Steve Nash. And Steve Nash, although I like him as a player, career-wise, as a Laker, he was terrible. And
well,
he
yeah,
barely played because he was injured.
he was on the
So
back end of his career also. But
Yeah.
100%. I mean, we've even spoken in the past. That both of us have mentioned, or I mean, I know I have, at least mentioned what teams look like before and after they acquire a guy like Chris Paul. I mean, that speaks for itself. So I
Well, yeah.
completely agree. Every time he's gone to a team, they go from below 500 team to a playoff team. That's
Yeah,
competing. So
they're, I seen the specific stats and records
yeah,
before and after he arrived, and the records have only gotten better. It's like
every
he
every time,
brings
every
success.
time.
He brings success wherever he goes, and I think he would have been a perfect, addition for the Lakers should his contract have not been so outrageous. But I'm happy where he landed, and the Suns are clearly happy where he landed too because they're thriving. But I would have loved to see him play next to Kobe. That
Uh,
still breaks my heart to this day. It's like I found out the news, and I was on the living room couch, and I fell asleep, all happy and stuff like that. I probably was smiling in my sleep, and then my brother comes and wakes me up, scares me out of my sleep, saying that the trade got vetoed, and I'm like, "You lying?" And he's like, "No, I'm dead ass. I'm dead ass." And I turned the TV on to see that. I was like, "Ain't this some bullshit?" And the next thing you know, he gets traded not to just any team, to the fucking Clippers.
I was salty, bro.
As we all were. I
I
mean, I'm
bet.
still salty to this day, but
Facts.
it is what it is. It's
It
over.
is what it is. I feel that's
But and before we go, I want to say, because this is in reference to the Space Jam movie, this cancel culture needs to stop. Because Pepe Le Pew is not even in the movie, in the sequel for Space Jam, because they canceled him for a specific reason. I don't know why. I just seen that they canceled him, and I was highly upset because now it's getting outrageous. Because now they're trying to cancel Miss Piggy next. For what reason, I don't know. Like it's it. They started off with
surprised they
Eminem,
didn't do.
and
I'm
then
surprised they didn't
now they
start
want to
with
get Pepe
Kermit.
Le Pew and Miss Piggy. Like,
I'm surprised they didn't start with Kermit. Probably the most cancelable character. Yeah, that
right,
he's sketchy, bro.
but why are you canceling freaking characters? Yeah, and then did you see that what they did with Mr. Potato Head? They made him
Yeah,
drop. They made him drop the Mister.
who cares?
So now he's Potato Head,
It's
and
potato.
dude, he's got a mustache, and he's married to his
Yeah,
wife.
but I'm pretty sure. I think that's a little different. I'm pretty sure they're adding pieces in the box, so now that you can make a Mister and a Mrs. in one box.
No, I don't mind that.
Okay.
I'm just saying I don't like that they're dropping the Mister Potato Head. Like
Who
it's
cares?
they're known as Mister and Mrs. Potato Head. Like I don't like if I don't have no
We
problem
should
with
we should let them be known as Potato Head and Potato Head.
listen, I have no problem with the inclusivity in what they're
Yeah.
doing.
Yeah.
I just don't like the fact that you're taking known characters that we know and trying to change it for the culture.
I got
If
you.
anything, create new characters to embrace the culture.
Yeah.
Like it is what it is. Like you can't cancel a character. Come on.
I agree, but I also don't give that much of a shit about Mr. Potato Head that they took away the Mister. You know what I mean? Like
I
it don't
do.
bother me that. It don't bother me that much. Like
It,
like what?
it bothers me that Pepe Le Pew is not included in the sequel for Space Jam
He
because
was
they canceled
sketchy
them.
too. Fucking wasn't he a French? Wasn't he like
He's the
the
skunk.
French skunk? Yeah,
Yeah.
that dude's a pervert. Yeah,
I think that's why they canceled
he's
him.
sketchy, bro.
I think that's why they canceled him.
He's sketchy too, bro.
I think that's why they canceled him. But like,
Kermit's next.
it's it's the nostalgia. You can't just cancel them. But
That dude was sketchy, bro.
it is what it is. It is what it is. But that's all we have for you guys today for episode, I think, 18 of Balls Deep with Devin and Jovan. If you stayed this long, thank you. I hope we made you laugh. But just stay tuned for our poll of the week. It typically drops every Wednesday, or yeah, it drops every Wednesday. So go participate on that on our social media pages, and go show love to all our boys, whether that be the musicians, the podcasts that we've mentioned, the Twitches. Just go show love, and stay tuned for Thursday's episode. We're not doing another mock draft, but go check out the mock draft if you haven't already. We had fun with that. It's a bit longer than the typical episode, but you'll definitely enjoy it. but we're talking about the NFL and what's happened in weeks prior. What's happened since. So a lot has happened. So stay tuned for Thursday's episode. And I don't know if Jovan has anything to add, but if not, we're out of here.
Nah, man, as always, just, thanks for the support. Thanks for the love. Tap that like, follow us, all platforms, show some love. We consistently drop all of our boys' information for their podcasts on Expac Podcast, Harv's music, RJ Shows' music. So, just spread some love, and that's it.
And that's all we can say. Until next time, peace.
You're talking about balls deep. I'm talking about balls deep. We're talking about balls deep in love. I'm talking about balls deep. My boy's talking about balls deep. We're talking about balls deep in love.